what the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The Prime Minister has met with President-elect Trump. They've had productive conversations, and our government will continue to work with the U.S. government and our counterparts to continue advocating for Canadians.
Canada is a sovereign country. I am very proud to be Canadian.
But what do you make of the fact that President-elect
the member of Parliament from Oakville, Ontario, Canada?
There's lots of moving pieces when you're involved in politics, particularly bilateral relationships. My focus and analysis is on what's within my control. What can we actually do? And we can make the case to Canadians, to the U.S. administration, and to Americans that, in fact, having an open trading relationship that maintains lower costs for consumers and good jobs for Canadians and Americans is actually the right path forward.
Wow, there's a lot of voices in there, starting with Richie Valdez, Minister of Small Business of Canada, Anita Anand, our Transport Minister, and then right at the end, Sean Fraser, the Minister of Housing. All this in relation, I guess, to these comments the other day from Donald Trump. You may have heard Jason mention this on the news. James Mennie is standing by over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, Donald Trump calls him the actual quote, by the way. Let me read this for people who didn't hear it, although I think by now everyone has. Donald Trump tweets last night, "It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again soon so that we may continue our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the results of which will be truly spectacular for all." What do you make of this latest Trumpism?
Let's address the clip we just heard. My advice for Ministers Valdez, Anand, and Fraser: switch to decaf, okay? Because those are three people who should be in control of this dossier. It's clear they have not got a clue what to do on this dossier. They have not got a clue on how to handle Trump, what to say, what to do, what foot to put forward. And quite frankly, let's give credit where credit is due. It goes to Justin Trudeau. And I had mentioned this when it happened. I had said it was a huge mistake scampering down to Mar-a-Lago to go see Trump, especially after the president of Mexico had politely but firmly told President-elect Trump to go to hell. That said, it was interesting to note that during an interview earlier this week, before he referred to Justin Trudeau as the governor of the 51st state, and this, of course, is an echo of conversation that apparently occurred during this infamous dinner, Trump was being interviewed on NBC and basically said when he announced the tariffs, he goes, "Yeah, Trudeau came down here about 15 seconds after the call." In other words, Justin Trudeau is my prop. Justin Trudeau is my finger puppet. Justin Trudeau will do as he's told, because let's face it, I have designated him the governor of the 51st state. Compare this treatment, Aaron, with the comments made by Justin Trudeau. We should dig those up, actually. I would urge our listeners to dig them up. You can just Google G7 Trudeau Trump. You'll find the video. This is 6 years ago when Trump tried to pull this with tariffs. And Trudeau, after the G7, held a press conference and said it's kind of insulting that Canadians who fought alongside Americans in two world wars are suddenly being perceived as some kind of a security threat. That in and of itself, that comment, which was a clear knife thrust to Donald Trump's well-established reputation as a draft-dodging coward, hit its mark. He refused to sign the statement at the end of the G7, but guess what? We sent our own team down there, and we got a deal. Because why? Because when Donald Trump sticks his big, fat Benito Mussolini chin out, you don't bow to it, you slap it, which is what he did 6 years ago. It's what he should have done now, and now he's paying the price. I only hope that the ministers we just heard notwithstanding, someone in there talks some sense to Justin Trudeau, make sure he has a press conference sooner rather than later to establish what this government's position, what this country's position is in dealing with a bully like Donald Trump. And don't forget, even as you and I are having this conversation, Aaron, you look at U.S. media, which, as I have always maintained, is deep in the tank for Donald Trump. Every economic expert and their dog is saying the president-elect is teeing up the U.S. economy for disaster with this plan. So quite frankly, it's difficult to be on the wrong side of history with this, unless, of course, you're Justin Trudeau. And I guess you figure the best thing to do is get to Mar-a-Lago, get the photo, and leave.
Okay, but that's a week ago, right? And I guess from what I understand, so Trudeau's out in Halifax and he's talking about stuff. Sometimes, I was talking about this earlier with Elias, and I said, times it's better to just shut up and say nothing, right? When you're sort of provoked this way, pushed this way. And I think perhaps him talking about this, you're going to hear the clip now, Jim, might have led Donald Trump or some of his people to suggest he do something. So here's what Trudeau was saying.
Canadians are fundamentally thoughtful about the kind of future we want, the kind of solutions we're going to put forward to improve our communities, to improve our neighborhoods, to build a better set of opportunities for our kids. And every election is about that as we approach what will be an election year next year. And my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada.
How about let's not bring that up? What's the point of bringing that up? What's the point of poking the bear? Jim, should that have even come out of his mouth?
It shouldn't have come out of his mouth, but as I'm saying, Aaron, we're talking about a chain of events that never should have occurred. Anybody in their right mind, any statesperson, any leader knows what Donald Trump is. Let's not pretend that the 1.5% edge he had on the popular vote to become president represents any kind of a mandate. And I'm very sorry, the optics with Justin Trudeau scampering down to Mar-a-Lago to bend the knee and kiss the ring were absolutely awful. And now Donald Trump, who I'm very sorry, Aaron, has a much larger international audience than Justin Trudeau ever will, okay, is having fun with it. Yeah. Justin Trudeau is his pet target. He's going to troll Trudeau for as long as he can. And unless Justin Trudeau turns around and at least echoes the resolution that we heard 6 years ago, where he makes it clear we're not going to put up with this, we're in the same way as the so-called neophyte a president of Mexico, who obviously had Trump's measure when she responded to his threats about tariffs, basically said, you do it to us, we'll do it to you. It's not a really good idea because, you're going to hurt as much as us. And then just left it there. Trump put out this completely false, provably false tweet saying, she had agreed to close the northern border. It's rubbish. But she pushed back. That's the only way anyone can deal with Donald Trump. If you haven't figured that out, I'm very sorry. People can call you the most senior member of the G7 and the elder statesman, but quite frankly, at this point, it's very, very close to being perceived as being Donald Trump's personal political gesture.
All right, let's move from that into the story that's dominated politics here for the past couple of days, starting with François Legault calling for that public ban on prayer. Well, it took a day. We're starting to see pushback, including today, from Federal Immigration Minister Mark Miller. So is this the fight you're suggesting, that François Legault is looking for?
Absolutely. This stuff is as unpredictable as WWE wrestling. You've got François Legault who turns around and makes some outrageous comment. Even the Quebec bishops are after him now saying, hey, stupid, remember Stations of the Cross? You're going to ban that too? We are at the point, and to a certain extent, I got to tell you, François Legault is beginning to bear an eerie resemblance to Donald Trump insofar as he will say or do anything in that moment that he thinks will improve his popularity, that will improve the idea that he's a tough guy and he's flexing muscle. He's backed into a corner. His poll numbers are garbage. He has zero credibility with the people of Quebec. So what do? As Mark Miller pointed out today, you go after the Muslims. And he was having fun with it. He asked rhetorically whether François Legault had his brainstorm about banning prayer in public places while he was at Mass at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, or was it before or after? He knows that this guy is playing games. That said, Miller also has a bit to answer for in terms of immigration policy in this country. But the bottom line here, and it just infuriates me, Aaron, that the people who get caught in the middle of this are immigrants who don't know what the hell is going on, except they're caught between the crossfire, between 2 points of view, one of which is a populist politician in Quebec who sees his political future absolutely immolating before his very eyes and will do anything he can to try and stop that process. And a federal government which realizes it has completely screwed up, devastated immigration policy based on, immigration policy based by tweet, okay, and is now trying to go into damage control. This is the part that really makes me despair, because in the end, whether it's the labor shortage, whether it's an economic source for a tax base, immigrants are the answer, whether you like it or not. And the fact is, we have these factions, these levels of government, yapping at each other like a pair of impotent chihuahuas to everyone's amusement, but to no product at all.
Yeah. By the way, Jim, interesting to note, Jean-François Roberge weighed in today on Mark Miller's comments. Here's the quote. He said, Mr. Miller unfortunately confuses people who are of Muslim faith and people who are as Islamists. And then he goes on to say, and Islamists are not welcome. Islamists are a radical political movement that challenges our ideas and represent provocation.
Yeah, well, I'll let George Washington there table some legislation that actually includes the word Islamist and see how far that goes.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Demand.